Welcome to CSEGuru. In this session, we will discuss data structures and applications. In that, we are going to discuss the topic dynamic memory allocation. So, dynamic memory allocation in the sense, memory will be allocated during execution time. That is nothing but dynamic memory allocation. And here, the dynamic memory allocation technique uses predefined functions to allocate and release memory during execution. Whenever memory is required to allocate in the sense, that time the predefined function will allocate the memory. Whenever it is not required, it will be released. And this is the type of technique which is used during unpredictable storage requirements. That is, in prior, we don't know how much memory is required for execution. In that case, we will prefer for dynamic memory allocation. If you know the size of the memory required, we can able to allocate statically. But if you don't know the size of the memory, we don't know how much it is required during execution. In that case, we will go for dynamic memory allocation. So this is the case for unpredictable storage requirements. There are 4 memory management functions which is used to allocate and release the memory. malloc, calloc, realloc and free. Each one we will discuss in detail with example. malloc function, if you are considering in the sense, it is used to allocate the memory dynamically. Dynamically in the sense, during execution, it will allocate the memory. And malloc stands for memory allocation. Here, it reserves the required block of memory of size during execution. That is, dynamically it will allocate. What is the required block of memory? If we have entered in the sense, that size will be allocated dynamically. And the allocated size will be of contiguous memory locations. Of specified size, sequentially memory will be allocated. Okay, that is, together it will allocate the memory space. And syntax, if we are considering, pointer equal to cast type. For what type of data you want to store and allocate the memory. So the cast type represents the data type, and malloc is the memory allocation function, and byte size. So this is the syntax. Example, here integer is the data type, malloc size of int. For integer data type, it will allocate the memory. But here it will allocate a single block of memory. How much memory it is required continuously or sequentially, that much memory it will allocate as a single block. That is malloc function. Okay. For example, here if you are considering in the sense, declare the pointer variable, and here how many elements you want to store, that you have to enter here. Then this is the memory allocation function. This is a syntax for memory allocation function. Int malloc size of n into size of int. Suppose n, if you are entering 5 here in the sense, 5 into size of int, integer data type size is 2 bytes. Suppose if you are entering 10 in the sense, 10 into 2 bytes it will allocate. Okay. According to the size of n and the data type specified here, it will allocate the memory space dynamically during execution. Here we are not fixing the memory, right? So dynamically during execution, according to n size and the data type given, it will allocate the memory space as a single block. Suppose a pointer is null in the sense, maybe memory is not available. In that case, error out of memory exit. Suppose if memory is available, they have allocated the specified size as a single block in the sense. Enter the elements using the for loop, add these elements. So it is actually the sum of n numbers. Okay. So using the for loop, get the first element and add with the sum. Second element, add with sum. Likewise, what is the n elements? What is the n value? According to the size of n, it will add the value and it will display the result. After using the memory, so here we have allocated the memory according to the size of n. Okay. After we have utilized the memory space, after execution, it is not required. Memory space is not required. Just to free the memory space. This is free of pointer. malloc is a memory management function used to allocate a single block of requested memory. And after execution, free is a memory management function used to release the allocated memory. Okay. So this is all about malloc. And then calloc, if you are considering in the sense, it is used to allocate memory of arrays. It is used to allocate memory for arrays. And calloc stands for contiguous allocation of multiple blocks. So this is the main difference between malloc and calloc. malloc will allocate a single block of memory. Calloc will allocate multiple blocks of memory. And here everything is similar to malloc only. The memory allocation, everything is similar to malloc only. Difference here is multiple blocks here it will allocate. and also the allocated memory, it will initialize to 0. That is, it will not allow any garbage values. So before using that memory in our program, it will be initialized to 0. Okay, syntax is same only. This is the cast type, calloc instead of malloc, calloc, and here element size, and that is the size of integer. What is the data type you are specifying here? That size you have to specify here, and n represents how many blocks it is required. That is 1 block, 2 block, likewise multiple blocks we can able to allocate. That multiple blocks we can able to represent with n. For example, here if you are considering integer malloc 25 blocks of size of int, integer in the sense 2 bytes, 25 into 2. And here the example, if you are considering in the sense the same sum of n elements example only, here you need to enter n. N represents the size of the memory required. How many blocks of memory required, that represents the size. According to n size and size of int, it will allocate the memory. Okay, if pointer equal to null in the sense out of memory, otherwise enter the elements. Using the for loop, enter the first element, add with the sum. When I equal to 1, enter the second element, add with sum. Likewise, up to n elements, it will add and it will display the result in the output screen. Okay, so after using the calloc memory allocated space, at the end of the execution, if execution is completed in the sense, we can free the memory space using free function. This is also a memory management function. So this is calloc. And next one is realloc. So realloc, if you are considering in the sense, it is used to modify the previously allocated memory. So previously you have allocated the memory. If extra memory space is required during execution, with the help of realloc function, you can able to reallocate the memory, required memory. Suppose you have allocated more space, if you want to reduce also, that is also possible with realloc. Most probably, during execution time, whenever we have allocated the memory, it is not enough in the sense, in that case, we will use this realloc. Okay, and here syntax is realloc pointer new size. For example, realloc pointer size equal to 50. Suppose if I have allocated 20 in the sense, if it is not enough, mention the size extra here. Okay, so for example, here if you are considering, enter the size we will get it as n1. So according to n1, you are allocating the memory space using malloc function, and here it will allocate the memory space. Okay, here it will print the address. Suppose if size is not enough in the sense, during execution you may require new size, extra size is required in the sense, enter the new size, enter it using a realloc function. Using malloc already have allocated the space, but that is not enough. In that case, using a realloc function, alter the size with this n2 value. Okay, and then just it will display the address of the allocated memory. Once the execution is completed, free the memory space. Okay, so this is all about realloc function. And finally, free. Free function is used to release the memory space, allocated memory space. Okay, so here it will free the memory blocks allocated by malloc and calloc. Okay, if allocated memory is not required, then with the help of this free function, we can able to release the memory. And this function returns the released memory to the system so that it can be utilized by other programs. Syntax free of pointer. That's it. Okay, so these 4 are the memory management functions we will use in C programs: malloc, calloc, realloc, and free. Malloc in the sense, it will allocate a single block of requested memory. Calloc in the sense, it will allocate multiple blocks of requested memory, and also the allocated memory will be initialized to 0. That is calloc. And realloc in the sense, using malloc and calloc, already you have allocated the memory space, but that is not enough. You want extra space in the sense. In that case, you can use the realloc function to reallocate the memory space. Okay. Then finally, free. Free is used to release the memory whichever we have utilized, whichever we have allocated using malloc and calloc. Once the execution is over, it is not required. So you can able to release it with the help of the free function. So these 4 are the important memory management functions in C program. So these concepts already we have discussed in C program. I will provide the link in the description for your reference. Thank you for watching this video.